everyone, I'm Cheryl Benadie, founder of Whole Person Academy, and I'm wearing this headset because we are in part 3 of an interview with Siyabonga Ndlovu, a dear friend of mine who has agreed to share his story on what graduates in South Africa are really experiencing when they leave university with a degree in their hand and thinking that's going to be the key that opens the door to work and freedom and love and dignity. Okay, I'm getting a bit far ahead of myself, but we put all this pressure on young people to excel, and because they have this degree, things are going to be easy, and I think we do them a disservice because we're not fully preparing them for the realities of the world of work. So in the first 2 episodes, we just went into a bit of Sia's own struggle with getting into the world of work, how his unconventional approach into the world of work happened. He's actually a part-time worker working from home and exploring work that is different from what he studied but can be applied to what he studied. And so in this episode, what I'd like to do is just get Sia's perspective on, firstly, graduates who are looking for work that are struggling and feeling like there's something wrong with them, because I think that is the messaging that they are experiencing if they struggle to get a job. There's a lot of pressure that they feel already as they enter into the world of work, and so I want Sia to just share some of his encouragement from his own journey. And in the second part of the video, we'll also be exploring some techniques and systems and procedures that organizations can perhaps put in place to attract young people. Because for me, it is a travesty that Sia, who is an amazing person, I might be biased, but I've worked with him. He was just an incredible person to work with. I knew that if I gave him a task to do, I could leave it to him and he would get it done. And I know that organizations are looking for this type of young people. So if he's been out of work for a long time, there's something broken with the system, and we need to fix that, because I think too many young people are coming out of university and losing hope, and that shouldn't be the case. So I think I am speaking a bit too long. See, I'm going to hand over to you. Can you tell us a bit, some encouragement for young people who are coming into the workplace and actually struggling to find their first jobs? What would you say to them?
So I'd say, for the first thing, just start with the plan. If you're looking for a job or anything, just look at a few aspects. What is it that you want to do? What kind of work is it that you want to do that will ultimately inspire you? Work that will lead you to your purpose, to the work that you really, really want to do. I think that's the first bit when searching for a job. I think the other bit is to look at the skills that you have and how do these now fit with my passions. Where can I actually be most useful and use the skills and abilities that I've acquired from my degree, acquired from being at university, with these passions, this burning desire, this energy inside me. Where can I actually fit these and bring the most value? I think that's what was lacking for me. I think I had too many. I was disillusioned, and there was this thought of unicorns and rainbows with fairy dust here and there. And I think that's, that was the first bit. I think the other thing is what you touched on, not to think that there's something wrong with you. And I think that was also a thing with me. I thought, obviously there must be something wrong here. I can't find a job. And I think young people, especially, millennials, we need to see the world of work as our oyster, not the other way around. We need to see, where do I want to go and where can I be most useful? And as I said in the first video, what I always believe is that there's always a reason to be hopeful, and there's always an opportunity out there. You just have to find the right one for you. But the way to do that is to ask yourself things, to look at what kind of work you want to do and where you can add the most value.
So thank you for sharing that. I love the oyster analogy. I think it was really awesome. I think, though, that you've had a bit of an unfair advantage in terms of the insight that you now have, because I know that you've been receiving coaching in this area, and something that I had to deal with as a first generation professional myself, who was the first in a family to get a matric qualification, get a tertiary qualification, do kind of white collar work. The biggest thing I struggled with is having permission, or giving myself permission to live my own life. And this is something that I think many people don't talk about. It's something that people wrestle with silently, thinking that they're the only ones, like you said, there must be something wrong with me. But growing up in cultures where there's an expectation, like in your own story, of everyone saying, Siya, you're bright, you're amazing, you should go study finance because you're going to have this great big job one day and you're going to be successful, according to a specific script of what success looks like. And because of that pressure, which I know you felt, I felt, many people are feeling, we don't actually realize that we have the right to live our own lives. We have the right to do work that we love. We have the right to do work that engages us. And so I wonder if you can maybe just share a bit about the whole aspect of permission, because for many years, I didn't feel like I had permission to make my own choices. I felt like I should be lucky to have a job, which is true. You should be grateful to have a job. But I didn't know that it was okay for me to actually do work that I love, even though my heart was yearning for that. So I think, the value that coaching and training in this space can bring is that it unlocks the treasure of young people, which I've seen is being able to unlock the treasure in you. Because if we never reconnected, I don't want to think about what happened, because you would have still been there depressed and in a very dark place for a very long time. And I think that there's so many young people out there who are in that situation. And it's a simple solution. It's just care and compassion to help young people to see themselves the way they really are. So Siya, I think I'm speaking too much. Please share your insights into how young people can give themselves permission to do the work that they love.
You started this question by saying something that's quite true. I have an unfair advantage here, and I have been receiving a great deal of training, coaching. And that's helped me a great deal to unlock certain things in my mind too. Certain aspects that I didn't think, were an issue. The issue about giving yourself permission, that's not something that I think is a conscious thought. And I think that's part of the problem. Is that there's so many things I want to do, but how interesting that those things fell away in spite of my degree. I felt as though this is the path, this is where I need to go, this is what's going to lead me, but I didn't give myself permission to follow my dreams, follow all that I wanted. It almost begs the question then, if you don't give yourself permission to follow dreams, do you still have dreams? Are they still can they still be a tangible thing to aspire to, if you feel that you don't have permission to follow them? And I think that's something that I struggle with, and I think that's a part of me that's starting to unravel now. I'm starting to see that following my passions, following my dreams, giving myself the chance to follow those things, is giving me a lot of confidence. It's giving me a lot of, I'm starting to see opportunity where there wasn't any. And I think that's the greater aspect in my perspective about this.
Yes, I love what you've been saying about, it's an unconscious statement. So it's deep in our unconscious that we need to follow this path because this is the only path to success. And I love that, the fact that you've been brave enough to share your story, because I hope that people are being able to see from the series of conversations that we've been having that your story is going to not go the way you think it's going to go, and that you need to have the courage to follow the story where it's leading you, and that becomes then an adventure, and just something that I maybe want to address is the perception that perhaps older generations have of younger people coming into the space. I think their perception of young people feeling entitled and narcissistic and all these labels that come onto young people coming into the workplace that they have to fight against could perhaps just be that there's a misunderstanding, there's a disconnect from what their fantasy, like you said, the unicorns and rainbows of the world of work, and just a lack of preparation, a lack of someone coming alongside who's walked that journey and saying, hey, it's fine, I get it, I've been there. It's okay to have dreams. Just know that the dream forms an outline that you get to fill in as you do your day-to-day work. So if organizations were more open to helping young people bring their dreams into the space, as an outline, and helping to see how their current job can help them to color in, the outline of their dreams to build that. I mean, the question you asked, like, if you don't actually pursue your dreams, do they die? And I can tell you, I've held on to a dream for many, many years. The dreams never dies. Yeah, they come back later on in life, more fiercely, because you realize you're running out of time. And I've also seen this pattern of, young people studying for something they think they should be studying, and then they get into the world of work, realizing it's not what I want to do, and then actually changing careers in their late 20s, early 30s, which we see is a pattern. So to come back to the question, sorry, I did go on a tangent there, is what is your perspective on the feeling of entitlement that many people think that young people, especially millennials, have?
No, I think millennials, young people in general, are quite misunderstood. I think that we have certain expectations about how work is going to be, but I think some of those expectations are really rooted around how we would like work to be, and not just how we'd like work to be, but how we pursue a certain kind of work-life balance. And that I know many people who are around my age who love work. There's dynamic work, there's challenging, and I think that is what a lot of millennials look for. I think also they look for certain work environments that are conducive to that success, that are conducive to those challenges and the success thereof. And I think that sometimes is the misconception that we can be entitled, and I think it's not necessarily entitlement. It's this different perception we have of work and the world of work, and possibly what we want to contribute to it is part of that skewed perception.
I like what you shared there, Siya, that the misconception is around the image that millennials and young people have about how work could be, and the very essence of what their dream of work, or their vision of work, the future of work could be, is actually what organizations need in order to be future-proof, in order to adapt and to grow. And so I think some of the insights that we perhaps can share with organizations, people who are working with, attracting young talent into their spaces, is the environment conducive to people wanting to be challenged, wanting to grow, wanting to contribute? Because I think if the environment is preventing young people from contributing, if the system of recruitment is missing out on passionate, talented young people like yourself, there are things that have to be fixed. There are things that have to be solved that actually young people can help to be the solution of. And so that is the kind of, I would say, it's a mandate that I've given Whole Person Academy, to help to connect people to the realities of young people and what they're facing, and how to connect them into a space that makes them feel engaged and connected in the real world. Siya, any closing comments? Thank you so much for your bravery and your courage and your just your confidence. And I've seen how much you've grown, and I'm so proud of you. And I know that you can have a bright future. But any kind of words of encouragement, firstly for graduates looking for work, and just for organizations on how to draw the right talent into their doors?
Thank you so much, Cheryl. The first thing I'd say to graduates is, when you're looking for work, look for an environment. So places to work, look for work environments where you know, for example, that if I get this job, I know that I can flourish, I can follow my passions, but I can also add value to that environment. That it's not necessarily a hostile place to work. And I guess that's on the flip side of the advice that I would give to businesses and companies, is that, you know, companies need to look at how they interact and engage and communicate with young people. I think that is the key to attracting and retaining talent and, you know, good quality employees, because, you know, the research is quite clear on this. The quality of workplace relationships is strongly associated with attracting and retaining employees, but also with lower intentions to quit and lower stress at work. So companies that are seen as good places to work by millennials have a great advantage here.
I think that's a really good way to end off, is the quality of the young person in terms of character and tenacity and flexibility is important, but then the cultivation of culture, organizational culture, that can attract young people and actually give them a place where they can feel challenged, where they can feel that they actually can contribute the value that they can bring, is crucial. So thank you for watching, everyone. If you're a graduate, I hope you've been inspired. If you're an employee at an organization that is trying to attract young people, I hope that I've been able to convey the passion of young people. Graduates coming into the space are full of hope. Let us not stifle that hope. Let us encourage it. We need their passion. We need their energy to help spur us on to find solutions for our future. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment below if this has helped you. If you want to get in touch with Siya as well, single ladies, you can contact me. I'm teasing. I'm just only teasing. But thank you so much for watching. And yeah, let us know if this has helped you. Have a great day.